Hey all, here are OS Reviews. I always enjoy checking out quirky gadgets and interesting lighting products. So today we're taking a look at kind of a viral flame design humidifier. Although diffusers or humidifiers aren't anything new, it's really the design of this one, which has LED lights that emit from below, creating the illusion that this is flames or a heater that I thought was kind of clever. It's almost like an illusion gadget because it's designed to keep you cool, but gives you the impression that it will be hot instead. This model in particular also has RGB lights which can change slowly between red to purple and blues if you don't want to keep it at that flame color. But otherwise seems like a pretty simple product. Usually these can be sold for around 10 to 30 bucks depending on the specific model and design that you're looking at, but they all have that same premise. Like all diffusers, I would say it works best in dry conditions, plus adding in a bit of essential oil into the water, you're able to create some aromas and kind of scent the air as well. And the packaging here is super simple, shows off both colors. This is the black version that we have. And further down below here, there's just a cable, which is going to be using USB Type-C to provide power. It doesn't have a battery built on in, so it does need to be connected at all times, unless you have a power bank with you. It doesn't draw too much juice, and there's also just a quick user guide. Inside the plastic here, we have just the flame diffuser. Surprisingly has a bit of weight to it at the bottom. Soft touch rubber feet that prevents it from sliding around on the surface, and a bit of a fan here that will be blowing the mist upwards to create that illusion. The center here just has a key that you can press on to turn it on and cycle through the light. You can also turn the light off as well and be in a more invisible mode, as well as turn off the diffuser completely and only use the lights. So that's kind of neat, although this model does not have a remote functionality, so you can't really control it from afar. And then you can see the LEDs actually, which are very close to the surface, that will be shining below the flames, quote unquote. And if we pop open the lid, that illusion is kind of broken. And you can fill in tap water up to the line that is drawn here. It evaporates very slowly. So if you do fill it midway, it'll actually run for a few days before you have to replenish any water at all. It's a very fine mist. And otherwise, the LEDs are coated in a layer of plastic, thankfully, so it's not actually directly revealed. Moisture can't actually get into the LEDs and damage it that way. And then just a small gap where the fan will be blowing the air upwards towards the top. So I filled in the water, and a couple of notes here is you definitely do not want to go over the fill line, because if it gets higher than this point, you can potentially have water go into the fan, which would be bad and damage the electronics inside. It also means so that when you're pouring in the water, make sure to pour it from this side here that has this dot. So plugging it in, it actually will have a sequence of lights there flash before we're able to actually turn it on, just by pressing the key down below there. The humidifier will already turn on, and we can see some of that mist drifting up, but all the lights are still turned off. So this is in kind of a more stealth mode. I can then tap on the right button here to turn on the lights on the top, and now we have that flame effect starting to become more apparent. It's probably best in a scenario where you don't have extremely bright light. In fact, here we are now in an environment where the lights on the background here are turned off, and it looks very dramatic and quite convincing. And turning off all the lights, the effect becomes even more dramatic, and surprisingly it goes up a bit further than expected using that built-in fan, roughly I'd say 5 or 6 inches up into the air, and it gets a little bit, of course, darker on the edges, producing that flame-like effect. The orange color is definitely my favorite, but again, it is just mist, so if you are kind of knocking the unit, in fact even playing with the lid here a little bit, you can make it bounce and change the way that the mist here is moving. And I can even put my hand in here, tap on that button here one more time, and that will go into a RGB mode. So this will slowly oscillate between all the colors and shades that it's capable of producing, including whites, blues, greens, so on and so forth, and still looks quite good, I have to say, but maybe not quite as realistic. And again, the color of the toaster part though is always going to be in that neutral, more of a white light. That part doesn't actually change. And then tapping on it one more time will just kind of lock the color on the one that it's currently at in the oscillation. But I can tap on it again to turn it off, and then just goes in that cycle once again, starting off with the default reddish orange color, and then going into that cycle once more, and then you can tap on it to again lock the color and stop the transition from happening. And if you are in more of a well-lit space, I would say it looks the best if there's a darker background, so something which is maybe black. it makes the effect still look quite dramatic and obvious, but if it's on a white background, the effect is a little bit diminished. And as far as being a humidifier or diffuser, it actually works pretty much as you would expect. It does produce a little bit of white noise because of that fan which is blowing, but it's not too distracting. The speed you can't really change. Quite simple, but does a good enough job of adding a little bit of moisture and coolness into a room. Maybe if they have a companion app version in the future, they could potentially add even more functions like a timer, maybe more lighting effects, but nonetheless works surprisingly well. And then just as reference, if I do open up the tank while it's on, this is what it looks like. So you can't really tell the smoke going up anymore. It really is counting on this lid to basically only allow the smoke to pass through this particular section to create that height. Then once you start popping on the lid, the magic begins to become more apparent, and you can also press on it again to turn it completely off, only acting as a night light, as you can see here. And by the way, this is how bright the light is like if you are casting against the wall, so a little bit of mood lighting. Pretty cool that all these modes can be operated independently of one another. Check out more details if interested in the links down below. For now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.